All right, Steelers Nation, let's get into this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers are constantly working to improve, making adjustments each week to bring better results for the season ahead. Before we dive into some huge updates about the team's defense, Deshaun Elliott's injury status, and Patrick Queen's fiery message to his teammates, do me a big favor. Hit that like button so more fans like you can join the conversation and keep this community growing. Let's start with something positive. The Steelers' first practice report for Week 4 brought some encouraging news. Safety Deshaun Elliott, who's been sidelined with the knee injury, was finally back on the field as a limited participant. That's significant because Elliott hasn't played since Week 1 against the Jets, where he racked up 6 tackles and looked like a physical tone setter for this defense. Head coach Mike Tomlin was cautiously optimistic, noting that both Elliott and Joey Porter Jr., who's also been dealing with a hamstring injury, have a real chance to play against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Tomlin made it clear that the decision will come down to how much work they can put in during the week and how effective they look in practice. This isn't just a routine return. Getting Elliott back is a big deal for the Steelers secondary. Remember last year in 2024, he finished with 108 tackles, 6 passes defended, 3 fumble recoveries, and an interception across 15 games. That kind of production is exactly what the Steelers need to stabilize the defense that, frankly, has bent far too much early this season. But it's not all good news. The Steelers' injury report also listed Alex Heismith as a non-participant with an ankle injury, and he's already been ruled out for Sunday's game. That's a major blow considering how disruptive he's been opposite T.J. Watt. Meanwhile, other veterans like Watt, Cameron Hayward, Jonnu Smith, and Isaac Seumalo all sat out, but those were rest days, not injury concerns. Linebacker Patrick Queen was limited with an oblique issue, and running back Jaylen Warren took a veteran rest day. Nothing too alarming there, but the Heismith absence looms large. This Week 4 matchup against the Vikings in Dublin, Ireland is no ordinary game. It's being played in Dublin, Ireland. The Steelers even bumped practice an hour and a half earlier on Wednesday to begin acclimating for the overseas trip. Tomlin emphasized how important it is to manage the body clock transition, and the team is already making adjustments to ensure they're ready when they land in Ireland. This will be a massive stage for the Steelers. Playing internationally always brings extra eyes and extra pressure, and the fan base abroad is hungry to see Pittsburgh put on a show. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This defense. Yes, the Steelers won in Week 3 against the Patriots, moving to 2-1, but the way they won left fans scratching their heads. Pittsburgh forced 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 1 interception, and another crucial recovery late in the game. That's incredible production. But here's the problem. Despite all those takeaways, the Patriots still racked up 369 yards of offense. Quarterback Drake May was able to move the ball at will for stretches, and New England running backs found space far too easily. If not for those turnovers, we might be talking about a very different outcome. This is where Patrick Queen steps in. The linebacker, who's quickly become one of the emotional leaders of this team, didn't sugarcoat anything when speaking with Ray Fittipaldo with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Queen flat out said, "It should have been a blowout, without a doubt. We have to get off the field. No excuses. We're going to focus on that. We have to be able to get off in those situations." That's exactly the kind of accountability fans want to hear. Queen isn't celebrating just because the team got the win. He's demanding dominance. And he's right. You don't want to be a team that relies on turnovers every week. Takeaways are great, but they're also unpredictable. Strong defenses are built on consistency, fundamentals, and shutting down drives, not just praying for a fumble or interception. So the Steelers head into Week 4 with a defense that's hungry to prove itself, a couple of key players possibly returning from injury, and one of their most vocal leaders calling out the unit to raise the standard. This game against the Vikings in Dublin is more than just another matchup. It's a chance to reset the narrative. The offense has been inconsistent, but if Elliott and Porter Jr. can return, the secondary suddenly looks deeper and more experienced. Pair that with Patrick Queen's leadership and the ever-present threat of T.J. Watt, and you have the recipe for a defense that could finally put together a dominant showing. But it won't be easy. The Vikings have playmakers, and they won't cough up the ball 5 times the way New England did. The Steelers need to show they can win with discipline, coverage, and tackling, not just by capitalizing on sloppy mistakes from the other side. The 2025 season was supposed to feel different. The arrival of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh brought hope that the offense would finally take a step forward after years of inconsistency. Rodgers' legendary resume and football IQ seemed like the perfect antidote for a team that couldn't find stability at quarterback. But through the first 3 weeks, cracks are showing. Rodgers is 41 years old, and while there have been moments of brilliance, the age and the lack of protection in front of him have become clear obstacles. The offensive line hasn't been able to consistently give him the pocket he needs, and that's causing ripple effects across the entire offense. When Rodgers was asked this week about why the wide receivers and tight ends haven't produced at the level fans expected, he didn't sugarcoat anything. His response was as direct as it gets. "We didn't have enough guys open at times. We got to get open. I got to make the plays that are there, and we got to convert on third down to keep us on the field." That's Rodgers, blunt, honest, and not afraid to shine a light on uncomfortable truths. Through 3 weeks, the Steelers' offense is averaging only 262.3 yards per game, while opponents are averaging nearly 400 yards per game against them. That kind of gap is alarming. For an offense led by Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington, that production feels far below what fans expected when the season began. And Rodgers made it clear it's not just about one player underperforming, it's systemic. Timing has been off, communication has been shaky, and most of all, the offensive line hasn't consistently held their ground, which disrupts everything from route development to play calling. Yes, Rodgers still holds himself accountable, noting he has to make the plays that are there. But when the protection falters and routes get disrupted, it's almost impossible for receivers to consistently get open and make plays.
So why isn't it clicking? Rodgers' comments reveal the truth. Separation isn't happening often enough. "We got to get open," he said plainly. That's a challenge to his receivers and tight ends to fight harder through coverage, to sharpen their routes, and to win those one-on-one matchups. At the same time, it's also a challenge to the offensive line, because no matter how good the route is, if Rodgers doesn't have the time to let it develop, the ball isn't getting there. Despite the frustrations, there are reasons for optimism. Rodgers has already improved the Steelers' red zone efficiency, using his experience to find mismatches and capitalize in tight spaces. Calvin Austin has been a spark plug again, showing he can be a difference maker when given opportunities. And perhaps most importantly, Rodgers' leadership is giving this offense accountability and direction it hasn't had in years. Fans have waited a long time to see an offense that doesn't just survive, but actually threatens defenses consistently. The pieces are here, but the execution isn't. Rodgers' comments make it clear. This is about everyone doing their job sharper and cleaner, the line protecting, the receivers separating, and the quarterback delivering. So Steelers Nation, here's where we stand heading into Week 4. Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. might finally be back on the field. Alex Heismith is out, which means other pass rushers must step up. Patrick Queen is sending a strong message. Turnovers are great, but consistency is the real key. And the defense, after being carried by takeaways, needs to prove it can dominate for 4 full quarters. This is a huge week, not just because the Steelers are playing in Ireland, but because it's a chance to prove they're more than just a team getting by on luck and big plays. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe this defense, with Elliott and Porter potentially back, can deliver a dominant performance against Minnesota? Or are you worried that the same problems, missed assignments, communication breakdowns, and too many yards allowed, will show up again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading through and replying to as many as I can. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our Steelers coverage. We'll be back with more updates as the team prepares to head overseas. But for now, the question is simple. Will the Steelers defense finally silence the critics in Dublin?